Okay, so this is Silence is Golden. Per the order here, okay, per the order, they require 800 pairs of speakers. Okay, so I hope I will be able to explain the workings for the total number of hours required. Okay, so let's come down to the information here. So we're going to be looking at salaries here. Okay, that is note number C. So in note number C, they are saying this salary cost relate to the machine operators, carpenters, and electricians who are all permanent salaried employees and who earn an average 30, 100 rand and 150 per hour respectively. The modified SS2 is expected to require 5 carpentry hours and 3 electrical hours per pair. In addition, 160 cutting machine hours will be required to produce the 800, here we are told again, the 800 pairs of speakers. Given the company's current production plans for the 4-month period, June to September 2015, 2,000 carpentry hours and 1,400 electrical hours are currently surplus to the planned production requirements. In total, for the 4-month period, not per month, while 100 spare cutting hours exist in this 4-month period. Okay, so we're given the spare capacity for all the labors, for all the hours, the spare capacity for all the hours that are required. That is the carpentry hours, the cutting hours, and the electrical hours for a period of 4 months. Per company policy, no overtime may be worked. So this is very important to note. No overtime may be worked. Additional electricians may be hired on an hourly basis if required at a rate of 150 per hour. So we can also say that electrical hours are not a constraining resource, because at any time that the electrical laborers or electricians are required, we can always hire them, as the wiring can easily be performed by any qualified electrician. However, for quality purposes or for quality reasons, no casual carpentry labor can be hired. So this is a problem now. The carpentry is a constraining resource here, because one, they cannot work overtime, okay, and also they cannot be hired. No casual carpentry labor can be hired. So if insufficient resource availability exists in order to meet the requirements of this order, production of one of the company's low-end speaker units could be curtailed, although this would result in the sale of these units being permanently forfeited. The two low-end products are as follows. So we have these two products, these two speakers here, LES2A and LES3B here. So we are given the contribution margin per unit for both of these products. For 2A is 2.5, for 3B is 3.5. So we are given the hours here. Okay, we are given the hours that are required per unit, okay, to produce these two products. So cutting hours, it's 0.1 hour per unit, 0.1 hour per unit, 0.5 for this one, so on and so on. All right, now what we need to do here, already we know that for carpentry they cannot work overtime, nor can we hire additional casual carpentry labors. All right, so this is our constraining resource here. Okay, so electricians, they can be hired at any time, so they are not a constraining resource. Now we need to calculate what the contribution per hour, okay, to see which product here has the lowest contribution per the carpentry hours. So let's come to our spreadsheet here. So how many hours are required? First, let's put the hours that are required. Let's go to the information here. We were told that the modified SS2 is expected to require 5 carpentry hours and 3 electrical hours per unit. In addition, 160 cutting machine hours will be required. So cutting is going to be 160 hours. So carpentry hours is 5 hours per unit multiplied by 800 units. So electricians, they say it's 3 hours that are required, 3 hours per unit by 800. Okay. All right. Now let's come to the spare capacity. Do we have spare capacity for cutting hours? Okay. While 100 spare capacity is for cutting hours, we have 100 here, 100 hours. How many hours do we have for carpentry hours? Is 2000 hours. So for electrical is 1400 the spare capacity. So for cutting we need additional 60 hours. For carpentry we need additional 2000. For electrical we need additional 1000. Now let's see now which production are we actually going to cut between the LES2A and LES3B. So as we said that the carpentry hours are a constraining resource, so we're going to look at the contribution per carpentry hours here. So as we can see here, so the contribution per carpentry hours for LES2A is 1250, while it's 1400 for 3B here. Now this is the problem here. So we are going to cut the production of LES2A because it has the lowest contribution per the carpentry hours. So how are we going to get the number of or the total hours that we are going to cut here? Now let's look here. Let's come back here. So how many hours or what is the efficiency that is required to produce one LES2A speaker? Is 2 hours per unit. So how many hours do we need for carpentry hours? Is 2000 hours. So if we need, if per LES2A for carpentry hours they spend 2 hours, okay, how many units should we cut for LES2A to get the total of 2000 units? So it's clear we're gonna take the 2 hour per unit, which is 2 multiplied by to get the 2000 hours there that are required. We're gonna cut 1000 units. Okay, so we know that to get the total hours of 2000 is 2 hours per unit, hours multiplied by 1000 units. Okay, these are the units that we are going to what to forfeit for LES2A to recover the hours that are needed for carpentry. So already we know that we have these hours here. Okay, how many hours that we have recovered under cutting? So we are going to look again here. For cutting they spend 0.1 hours, 0.1 hours per unit, 0.1 hours per unit. So we're gonna take this 0.1 again and multiply. It's going to be 0.1 hours per unit multiplied by 1000. So we know that how many units? Okay, let's fix that. So it's 100. We have recovered 100 hours, but we needed 60 hours there. But we have recovered how many hours? 100 hours. So the excess is 40,000. There is an excess of hours that we have acquired of 40 hours. Now let's come to electrical hours. Also in electrical hours, we are going to look, they spend 0.8 hours per unit. So we're going to take this 0.8 and multiply it by 1000 units. The 1000 units that we have cut from the production of LES2A. So even here we have 0.8 multiplied by 1000. So we have recovered 800 hours under electrical. So this is the thing. Here we have recovered more units, but here we have recovered less units than we required. Okay, now we have additional hours that are required for electrical, but we were told that if there are any hours that are required for electrical hours, they can be hired at any time. So we know that we already have these hours of 200 here. All right, but what is the rate? Let's check the rate. Okay, pay the company policy, no overtime may be worked. Additional electricians may be hired on an hourly basis if required at a rate of 150 per hour. So already we can tell that this is a relevant cost. This is the relevant cost, the additional hours at 150, and it's going to be 150 multiplied by 200. So this is the relevant cost here of 30,000. All right, now here we look at the carpentry hours. How do we get the relevant cost? Because we worked out that we needed 2000 hours, and in order to get those 2000 hours, we had to reduce the production of LES2A by 1000 units. All right, so how do we get the relevant cost? Well, there are two ways. There are two ways that we can get the relevant cost. Okay, for this one, two ways. It's either we worked in units or we work in hours. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? We know that we cut 1000 units. So for me, it's easier to say, if I know that I have cut the production by 1000 units, to get the total relevant cost, I will take the contribution that we have forgone. All right, this contribution is per unit. All right, and then I will multiply by the total number of units that I have cut. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. We're going to have the 1000 units multiplied by 2500, which will give me 2,500,000 as my relevant cost here. But again, what else can I do? I have calculated here the contribution per hour or per carpentry hours, which is 1250. Okay, if I use this contribution per hour, I'm gonna take this 1250 and multiply by the total hours that we have recovered, which is 2000 hours. It should give me also the 2,500,000. So what's the most important thing to remember when we work out the relevant cost? If you use hours, okay, if you use total hours, multiply by the contribution per hour. If you use units, the total units that you cut, multiply by the contribution per unit. So if it's hours per unit, if it's hours, multiply by the total hours. If it's the units, multiply by the contribution per unit. Okay, yeah, so that's how you get this 2.5 and this 30,000 here. I hope I was able to explain it clearly.